Hello, beautiful people. My name is Junaid Mabuza. I believe you know that already. I'm so excited to be hosting you again in this beautiful estate as I'm going to be taking you through this house. I want to be answering some of your burning questions. If you're a first-time home buyer or had a very terrible experience before buying a property, today this video is for you. I want to help you with some of those questions. Come inside with me. So right now we're in our Type D home. This is one of the most popular units here in Montremblant Estate. So one of the amazing things about this house is this special feature, the walk-in closet. As you can see, this is designed to give you the storage that you need according to your needs. So like all the other houses in this estate, this is a full title house, and that brings us exactly to the topic that we want to discuss today: home ownership. Let's unpack some of these questions for you today and give you all the answers that you need. So since we're live today, you can send through your questions on the comment section below, or you can DM us. We'll be more than happy to answer them in this live video. Okay, so one of the most frequently questions that we get asked is this one: what is a cluster? So a cluster refers to the grouping of residential properties on a development site in order to use the extra land as open space for recreation and other amenities that we have in the estate. Okay, so this is exactly what we have here at Montremblant Estate. We have cluster homes. So like I said, we have a cluster and then we also have a duplex. A duplex plan or house has two living units that are attached to each other, usually stacked one above the other. The main difference between our clusters and the duplexes just mentioned is that the duplexes are sectional titles as opposed to the clusters. Our clusters, especially here in Montremblant Estate, are full title units. What does this mean to you? This means that you've got full control and power over your household. Okay, so another thing you may be asking yourself is, what is an ERF number? This refers to the number used to describe the property that is purchased. Mainly, most of the time you'd find this is used by the councillor's office or at the deeds office. When a property or ERF is sold, the transaction is then recorded by the registrar at the deeds office, right? So when we talk about the ERF size, we are referring to the entire size of the yard that is registered at the deeds office. Okay. So up next, what we're going to talk about is the most important aspects when buying a property. Let's talk about finances. I'm pretty much sure you've heard these terms: repo rate, lending rate, prime lending, balloon payments, amortization, and things like that. But do you really know what do they mean? First, I'd like to tackle this one: a repo rate. So a repo rate is set by the Reserve Bank Monetary Policy Committee and is the rate at which the money is lended out to the commercial banks. So this is directly linked to the prime lending rate, which can be described as the interest rate that commercial banks will charge the clients when issuing any home loan. Okay, so up next we're going to be covering this important aspect of purchasing a property, and this has to do with finances. Okay, so probably when you are in the property market searching as a first-time home buyer, you've heard of such things like the repo rate, lending rate, prime rate, and amortization, and etc. So firstly, I want to deal with this one, the repo rate. A repo rate is set by the Reserve Bank, which is the one that lends money to the commercial banks. So you use your normal banks like Absa, Standard Bank, and so forth. So the Reserve Bank loans to the commercial banks, and you get your loan from the commercial banks. So commercial banks are going to use what they call a prime lending rate, and this is the interest that is charged on your home loan when you're going to start your purchase. So as a buyer, you may be affected directly every time by these two types of lending rates, the repo rate and the prime interest rate. This is what happens when the Reserve Bank increases their repo rate on the commercial banks. This will also increase the amount of interest rate that the commercial banks are going to charge to you. So this may affect your home loan on a long term or even at the beginning of your purchase. So it's very important that you know what these are and how they affect you in your purchase. I want you guys to take serious note of the following. It's very important that when you want to start buying a property, you've got your finances right. Now that you know the difference between the lending rate and the repo rate, the next thing for you is to have a very good credit scoring, because it's going to affect those two while you're trying to buy your property. Try minimize a lot of credit so that by the time you want to start applying for your home loan, everything is in good order. Now, you may be a first-time home buyer that is either running a business or you're employed elsewhere. So there's very important documents that you really need to have in place for the banks, commercial banks, to be able to process your home loan. I'm going to be taking you through the important documents that you need to have, and these are very compulsory, as nothing can be done without you having those documents in place. So if you are there and you know a friend that wants to buy a property, please call them to sit next to you, take out a pen and paper, and write out these next documents that you guys are going to need to be able to buy your first property. So this one is for you. If you are an employed buyer, this means you work somewhere and you earn a salary on a month-to-month basis, a consistent salary. These are the documents that you're going to need. You're going to need a copy of your ID documents, copy of your 3 months latest bank statements, a copy of your 3 months latest payslips, and probably sometimes you may need an employment confirmation letter. Also, while we are at that, this you may need if you are married in ANC, a copy of your marriage certificate if it's applicable. Now, for somebody who's self-employed, this is what you need. You're going to need a proof of income, a letter of drawings from an accountant for all applicants if applicable, if you're applying with more than one person, right? Personal assets and liabilities, you're going to need that. Latest 2 years annual financials. Those are very important because none of the banks can process the loan without that. They really do need those documents. Okay, so where financial statements are older than 6 months to date, current management accounts are going to be needed that are not older than 2 months. And lastly, you're going to need your registration documents and your CK documents for this purchase. Okay, so you may be wanting to buy through a trust. A trust is usually set by a company or a family, and they choose a representative who is responsible for signatures, right? So this is what you'll need if you're buying through a trust: a copy of the trust deed, number one, and a resolution by the trustees advising who is responsible and liable to make any signatories. Now, you can open up a trust with our attorneys if you do not have one already. So, up next, I want to take you through our purchase procedure here at Galencha Properties. Now, so you've heard many times that you may require a deposit for you to secure a house or for you to start your purchase process. So here at Galencha Properties, our purchase procedure is that you pay a 50,000 reservation deposit against the specific house that you want to buy. So if today you're interested in buying this beautiful type D house, you'd be required to pay the 50,000 rands deposit. It's refundable with conditions. We call it a suspensive condition that I will explain later on. So what happens is, after paying the deposit, you may be able to sign the offer to purchase, which will also be then submitted to the seller, which is the developer. So once your offer to purchase is submitted to the seller, which is the developer in this case, it needs to be accompanied with the documents that I mentioned: your ID copy, your payslips, or however you're buying. If it's a trust, you already know those documents that you need to accompany it with. Now, I told you that you need to pay a 50,000 deposit if you're purchasing with us. This means that the 50,000 rands deposit that you pay is refundable on suspensive conditions. So say you apply for X amount and you do not qualify for that amount, or you get less the amount, then you are fully liable to get the deposit refunded to you. Should you apply for the certain amount and you get the full amount applied for, then the suspensive condition has been fulfilled. Should you decide to cancel on the purchase after that, whereby the developer has done all that they need to do and you're satisfied with anything, and you decide to cancel, that deposit may be forfeited in that case. Furthermore, you can also have the deposit refunded should you decide to not use the 50,000 as a deducted amount from the purchase price, but want to receive it back, you can apply for a full loan. So if the house is 3 million rands and you apply for that exact amount, you get it. After transfer of the property, we will fully refund that deposit amount back to you in full. So now that the seller has signed your offer to purchase, our in-house bond originators will be responsible to submit your application to the 4 major banks, all together with SA Home Loans. So within 7 to 21 days, they'll work on trying to on getting you a home loan, and then you will be responsible to decide which bank gives you the best loan and at what interest rate. It's all upon your discretion, but I can assure you that we will try to get you the best interest rate and the best home loan with the best bank that will cover you and all your needs. So once you've received that bond from whichever bank you decide to go with, they will then assign that specific bond to our attorneys. In this case, we've got in-house attorneys that are responsible for the transfer of the properties. This is usually referred as to the conveyancing attorneys. So we've got our own in-house attorneys, and this will help you not to pay any transfer costs as you buy directly with us, and not to pay any bond registration fees. So like I said, the procedure usually takes about 3 months to complete. So within this 3 months, after your bond is with our attorneys, they will then call you to come and sign the transfer documents that they would have drafted for you. If you're married or if you're buying with someone else, all the parties will be invited to come and sign these specific documents. The attorneys will then be responsible to prepare and do all necessary procedures on their side and send through your documents to the deeds office, where it will go various stages. This process is called lodgement. So they will lodge your purchase with the deeds office, where the deeds office will also revise all the documents and get all the information that they need to transfer the house into your own name. Now, this is very important to note. If you're gonna buy through a bond and it's not a cash purchase, you will only get a copy of the deed. The original deed is gonna remain with the banker until you have paid your home loan fully back to them. Once your property is registered at the deeds office, it will be my job as your agent to do a beautiful handover for you, to give you your new home keys. And now I need to mention this to you. As a first-time home buyer and you're buying directly from the developer, there are beautiful benefits that you're gonna enjoy in your property. First of all, when you move in, we're gonna do an inspection checklist to make sure that everything is covered and everything is fine in your unit. It doesn't end there. For the first 3 months, we've got what we call latent and patent. So what happens is that for all the things that we have installed, the fixed finishes in the house, you've got a warranty on those. If you see anything that looks funny, in this case I hope you don't, we as the developer are going to be liable to come through and fix it for you. It doesn't end there. For 1 year, you've got a full warranty on your plumbing, electricity, and including your roof. And for the next 5 years, you've got a warranty from with NHBRC for anything that has to do with structure. Isn't that a good buy, especially with the developer? Now, I know some of those terms you may have not known and how they work, but today you got to get a full view of what is what and how to go with your purchase. So now that we're at the end of the purchase and you've moved into your beautiful home and you're staying within the estate, it is very important to note that you do not have a body corporate here. There's a different name for that, and the functions are quite similar. So here you've got what we call a homeowner association. They are responsible for the upkeep of all the common area places in the estate. Since this is a full title, within your estate, you're responsible for your own yard. You can cut your own grass, you can do your own planting. And now, like we said, it's a full title. This means that should you want to do any extensions or whatsoever, you need to involve your homeowner association, and you're gonna need to have an architect that can look at the plan that you currently have and do the drawings that are gonna have to be approved by your homeowner association, including the council, before you can do anything. It's important that if you have to do anything that has to do with the structure externally, you involve your homeowner association. They are responsible for the upkeep of the estate, and they are responsible for most of the things that you may need to know when you're staying in the estate. Well, there you have it, guys. Thank you for tuning in today on this live video. I see we've got a whole lot of questions to answer on our DMs and as well there by the timeline. I'm not going to be able to answer all of them today, but I'll cover some on our next live video. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you taking your time to join us today. If you are looking to buy a property here at Galencha Properties, Junaid Mabuza is your best agent. See you next time.